All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the show. You're listening to Sasha Talks Tech, a podcast about technology, innovation, and leadership. And I'm thrilled to announce our guest today. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure and privilege to be bringing to you Ravit Jain. He is a senior content marketer and editor at Packt Publishing. However, Ravit's career journey is really interesting. He started at
It
finance.
started with finance,
He started in finance and then
and
research
then
and content.
and content.
So, Ravit, welcome.
So
Thank you
really
for joining us
welcome. Thank
today.
you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me on the show, Sasha Talks Tech, which is amazing. Thanks for having me on the show, and it's a complete pleasure, Sasha. You're doing an amazing job. I have seen those interviews which you have taken, Kirill's interview, and all of those people. It's always so much fun to be, on the other side. Now I know because I've been hosting shows as well, but it's good to be guest on the show, and there's so much happening around to chit chat about it. So happy to be here.
Wonderful. Welcome.
Wonderful. Welcome.
Yes.
So let's
So
talk about it a little bit about your background. So you did start in finance and then moved into
finance and
the
then
research.
research.
So I was
So
wondering, was there was it
there
your plan all
was a
along, or was
plan
there something
was
in
there
content
something in
marketing
content
that sparked your
that
interest
support your
at
interest
some point of it?
at some point?
Okay, so for me, it has been a journey. I've never thought about, that I would be in content marketing. It has started somewhere, back during my MBA days. And my next job, obviously did finance. I'm an MBA in finance. And then obviously, I didn't want to play around in numbers when I get to work. Though I was very sure about one thing that if you're talking about numbers are everywhere. It's always there, say, or in marketing field, or say in any field you'll find numbers. And today, if you see, I'm around data people, I'm around AI people, and those people in the background might be working in numbers, and I work in numbers as well. So for me, the career started with obviously finance, degree, but then somewhere I landed in market research company where I used to work on global reports in different fields such as IoT, say chemical, or say you can actually say a report, even if it's like a mug. So I can clearly report, everything in terms of a market for a mug. What is the global market, what is a regional market, what is a city market, or maybe just a small area as well. So started from there, then moved on to more of a research roles where I used to research about different things. And research is everywhere, research is in content as well. Research is obviously what we are doing right now. If you have had you gathered my background, you've done some research there. So that's, I think, it's the base for everything what you're doing and what we are doing today. So started from there, and then Pack Publishing happened, and then obviously content marketing happened, which is a very important role to me because what I do is I closely work with authors. I make sure that their books are visible across the globe. I make sure that content is relevantly targeted to the best audience out there. It is helpful for the folks if they are buying a book, and if they are finding it, insightful, if they're gaining knowledge out of it. I think that's the best job one can have. So that's content marketing for me, and I'm very happy to be in this space.
This is wonderful. So, Pack Publishing is when things finally started clicking into place, and you created such a wholesome picture. I feel like content marketing is so important nowadays. It's more than just sales, it's a conversation that precedes sales. It's almost like thought leadership, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think because what happens is you create a community where people want to know more about data. People want to know more about AI, data science, and it can be in any field. It's not just about books. I'm talking obviously about the things what I am doing, but content marketing can be even in security. It can also be something which is current scenario, which is COVID. So people want to have more and more content about it. People want to know more about it. What's the next step? And the boom you must have seen about, even COVID, the content, people were hungry for it back in say March or April. So it depends. It can you need to evolve with content, and you need to be out there. So yeah. Okay.
Wonderful. Yeah, because nowadays people are so hungry for knowledge. So it's so important to have such an information skeleton out there. That's what drives everyone these days. So,
Oh yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
yeah, absolutely. So, and I was wondering, since there are so many talented writers out there, and a lot of people are either aspiring writers or they have already authored some amazing books. I was wondering, do you have any sort of a step-by-step advice for aspiring writers to follow, or is there no cookie cutter formula and everybody's situation is different?
Uh, Actually, it works different for everyone because if you think of writing a book, you'll be very different. You have a different writing style. You have a different thought process to how to structure a book. But obviously, we have a process that we follow at Pact. We have editorial editors who the developers who would actually look at your content very well. They'll put it very structured and they'll work on the content. But it definitely depends on person to person because every book is different. If you read two similar topic books as well, you might feel those books are very different. So it depends. There's nothing as such that you can, if I tell you that okay, these are the steps how authors should work around and how authors can actually write a book and go about. There's only one thing: you need to have that passion in that field. And if you have a subject that is a little different and what people want to know more about, I think that is the best thing one can get on. And I think then it creates a good author. And no author is a good author or a bad author. It just depends upon people who buy the book. If they have a different energy which they want from that book or knowledge, then it is different, I guess.
Mhm. Actually, just to double check, sorry, I just received a comment that there is echo. I wonder if it's on my end. Uh, do you hear echo at the moment?
I don't hear anything. Is it?
Okay, I guess I'll just keep going, and if it keeps malfunctioning, I'll switch to a different microphone. Thank you for bringing
Okay.
that to my attention, Tony.
Okay,
Hi.
Manan is there. Manan says it's good. Audio is fine for him. Manan says
Okay,
yes.
okay, then I will keep going. I'm sorry for interrupting. So,
No worries.
so yeah, just in terms of content, so you would say the step-by-step instruction might even hurt the creators because it would strip them of the uniqueness of their content, because uniqueness is what their passion brings, and this is pretty much the mission statement of Pact Publishing.
Oh yes, definitely. There's nothing as such where I can put anything in step by step for an author to write a book. It's completely author's call how they want to actually bring it up and do different things for the book. Oh yes, see, Manan likes it. No author is a bad or good author. Obviously, every content I respect, every content out there, it is valuable for. If it's not valuable for you, it will be valuable for someone else. So yeah, that's there. Hey George, how are you? George is here. Yes.
Yeah, we have an amazing crowd today. I am so excited. So, there is so many hot topics in technology today, and I was wondering, is there any content that's very, I don't want to say sought after, because every content that writers create is very valuable, but
Exactly.
are there many prevalent topics nowadays that you might notice? Because I notice people are really into machine learning, and quantum computing has been a big rage recently. Is there anything else that I'm missing out on?
Not exactly. It's just that it's evolving. It's if you speak of quantum computing, it's getting there. People are knowing about it more, and it will take it will actually take off at a very high level, but maybe down the years, say 5 years later or 6 years, 10 years, somewhere. But it will do something extraordinary. It is actually doing very well. But if you look at it like 20 years ago, quantum computing must just be like, okay, it's just in the imagination. So yeah, that's there.
Thank you for your comment, George. I completely agree with this comment. I think any writer would be lucky to have Ravit as a publisher.
Thanks, George. That's a huge comment, and that's the best thing. If you are working for an author, you're working on their books, and if you get an obviously a compliment, or maybe if you actually do justice to their book, what they've written, and the right people get to read it, nothing like it. It's like a bliss.
Absolutely. So, and I've been curious for a while. How much does a publisher usually help out the authors in terms of guidance? Because I know there are so many new and aspiring authors out there who are a little bit timid, who would probably benefit from a little bit extra help. And I just wanted to see if that's something that publisher usually does.
So for us, it is for Pack Publishing. It is very straightforward from acquisitions till the marketing. What I do, we will do everything possible for the author to be on board, and we have a complete editorial board who would look after their structuring their content, as I mentioned earlier. Then we have a production team where obviously we have many technical books in our kitty, so those technical editing is being done very well. There are technical editors who look after the complete book coding, and everything's fine, there's no errata, and people are actually because they'll use it in their day-to-day life, so they shouldn't be facing any issues with the coding and all of those stuff. So from start till the end, Pack Publishing makes sure that the book is perfect, and it has to be, because we are publishers. We need to have that goodwill for ourselves, and I think a good book, when it comes out, it takes a lot to build a single book. It looks very easy when it's out. People are like, okay, it's just another book, but then there's a lot of energy of author, of people who have worked behind the book. It's just like a movie that has been built, but sometimes the movie does very well, and sometimes it's like, okay, it's just done, and people like it, people don't like it. It's just that way. But there's a lot of energy that goes, and there are many people whom we might even not know. It's obviously the author, and it is obvious because the author's name has to be there, who has written the whole book. But there are people like acquisition editor who must have reached out to an author to write for a certain subject. Then it's about technical reviewers. Then it will be about people, technical editors, development editors, marketing editors, content marketing editors, and all of those people. So it's like a huge team working everything from A to Z for a book.
Oh yeah, I bet there's so much work and so much love, I'm sure, going into the creation of each and every piece, because you have to make sure the numbers check out, the code checks out, and of course there's syntax and grammar. We have a very interesting question from George. Do you find that the sale of physical books is declining?
Mm, Not exactly. I think it is always depends on person to person. Now it has come back in place, just because what is happening is, during the COVID season, we knew like the early COVID issues were very high, because it felt like no one would buy the books due to the germ and the virus, obviously. But now it is in place, everything's running this way it used to before COVID, because now people are more aware how to just get out of it and buy a physical copy. And some people just prefer physical copies. They don't like reading, they don't want to go on the screen and have that screen time more, because we are behind the behind screens for like 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours in a day minimum, maybe mobile, or maybe desktop, laptop, and all of those stuff. So now people prefer reading physical copies, and many of them have always been just like, no, we only love physical copies, we don't want anything go digital.
Yeah, I have to agree with that as well. For me personally, physical copy of the book is such a special treat, and yes, I know it's heavy to bring around with you. Yes, I know it takes space, but there is nothing like the feeling of opening the brand new book and reading through its pages. The
Oh yes,
only
definitely.
Yeah, the only point in the defense of electronic books I can think of is being able to copy and paste the code that you're working on easily. So that's definitely the pro of the
Oh yeah.
electronic version.
Oh yeah, definitely. That happens. That happens. But still, people like it. People are like, oh no, we just the people who are very experienced in the field of in any field, and if they have a code written, they won't mind going about just typing it very quickly and having those running. But yeah, again, depends on person to person on those front, I guess.
Of course, that makes perfect sense. So,
Yeah.
each new author and each new book, what would you say would be the steps of the product growth? Okay, like you got the new author and you got this new book that you now have to promote. The content is excellent and you know it, but okay, now what?
Okay, so first is to make the community aware about it. There's obviously we have a pack community, we have our own community, we have our own page, we have our own social media where we would announce about the book. We would go about announcing it. If the book is obviously assigned to me, so then I'll be announcing it all around, and going about to conferences, giving away books there, maybe even getting to the influencers where who could actually make a difference and read the book and let us know if there are any improvement that would be needed. That can happen actually before the publication as well, but sometimes it's later because we know the book is doing well. It is an amazing book, so it's just going out there on the social media. Digital marketing is one of the biggest thing which is today, and we think of digital marketing as just it can be just another book. Okay, it's just another book, but no, you being a content marketing editor, I know how to just make it that valuable for folks. What folks need it, it's just that you need to have that eye. The right eye is required maybe to get the book going. So I use digital marketing very well. I'll be out there, I put as many as things how it will benefit to the folks who would read it, and particularly target the community because they are in need of something new always. So yeah, that's how it works.
Yeah, this is awesome. I've always loved packed books, and I believe I own at least 4 or 5 copies of the books on different topics, and I've always appreciated their practicality because there is a theoretical component that comes from the academia, which is interesting, but it's not always very applicable to our day-to-day life. So, with the
True.
packed with those projects or the code or whatever story that particular book tells, what rings a bell for me is always the practicality of it, and that's what I love about those books.
Thank you very much. I'm sure that's what our aim is, to make people happy, make them feel that they are gaining knowledge, and it's something different than any other publisher is doing. So it should make them feel special, if even if it's for an author, even if it's for me who's just going out there working for Pact and marketing those books and reaching out to the best folks to impart some knowledge via books. So it should, and the best thing is the audience who's reading and who's gaining something out of it, and they're upskilling themselves. So that's, I guess, the motto. Yeah.
Absolutely. Do you have any personal favorite topics to work on? I know it's almost like asking about who your favorite child is, but however, do you?
Yes, that's so true. It's so difficult. See, what I start with, if I say data, then I'll feel no, AI is very, AI is very competitive. People want to know more about AI. Then I'll think of no, cybersecurity is very much a need everywhere. So how can I miss cybersecurity books? So that's my favorite topic. No, actually, data security also should be there because then it is again related to cybersecurity. So that's how it works. I can never say that okay, this is my favorite topic. So my favorite topics are data science, AI, machine learning, cybersecurity, everything, Sasha.
I noticed you recently worked on a new book authored by Adlan de Ponteves. For those who don't
Oh yeah.
know, Adlan is a very famous author and influencer and keynote conference speaker. I particularly enjoy his content for his lectures on natural language processing, for his hands on projects on BERT, and things like that. So, were you excited when you realized that you will be working on that book?
Oh yeah, definitely. Hadelin is amazing. Trust me, I was introduced to him somewhere last year, same time, and we got along so well. He's like the best person you can work with in terms of. I'm not being biased. He's my author. That's the reason. No, but then he has 1 million students on Udemy. He's one of the finest person, in terms of giving you ideas how to get the snowball effect for marketing. And trust me, his content is that rich. Obviously he has that 1 million followers for a reason, because he is that amazing in his own field. So that matters the most, I guess. And he's been an amazing person. And always till date, I've been, he's more than an author I work for. It's like more like a friend. I was just talking to him, yesterday, and he was like, and I was actually, telling him that I'm planning to visit Dubai because the borders have opened for Dubai and all of those stuff. And he's like, oh, I'll be in Mumbai. So he's coming to Mumbai, where I stay, obviously. So that's the reason. He's like my favorite author, one of my favorite authors I've worked with. A very amazing book that I think everyone needs to have, which is AI Crash Course by Hadelin de Ponteves. I will surely put a link after the session so people can have a look at it. If or maybe by end of the session, I can actually open that book for everyone and showcase it to them. So if anyone wants to buy it, they can go and check out the book. It's very cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And in case if someone misses this broadcast, I will make sure I will include it in the show notes on the YouTube description to make sure that
Oh yeah.
everybody has access to it. I know I recently ordered the book. It's still on the way, but I'm really excited to read it.
Oh
So you
yes,
mentioned,
I would actually love to hear your views as well, Shasha. I know you have interest for these topics, and you are like one person who would go about the books. So I'm looking forward to your reviews about the book.
oh, I'm very honored and flattered. Thank you, Ravit. So you mentioned earlier something about snowball marketing. It's not the
Yeah.
term that I've ever heard before. So what is it?
So snowball marketing is not a marketing that has been written in the book anywhere, but that's how I look at things. That's how when Adeline and I worked with, we looked at something like snowball, and snowball is something, do a marketing where you have your book everywhere. Maybe Twitter, maybe LinkedIn, maybe Instagram, may it be website, tier one websites, may it be interviews, maybe on podcast, everywhere. People should, there's like not just one venture that we are looking at, or maybe just one area that we are looking at, that okay, we'll just target this book for LinkedIn. We'll target it for everywhere. Maybe Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, whatever. We'll put it everywhere, let everyone know about it. And that's how we create a snowball effect, that okay, it's just not in one place, it's everywhere. And people are talking about it. People want to know more about it. It's very hard to get to it, obviously, because then there are so many channels you need to look at. There's so many people who might come back to you and ask about the book, and you need to obviously be that smart about answering. Or maybe you just need, obviously I don't belong to a technical background, so I'll just have to connect him to the author. And then Adeline obviously has so much on his plate every day that he does. He has to again go about answering so many people. And then it's about 1 million of those students as well who would just be like curious to know about his book. So that's, I think, more or less, how it works. Oh, Aslan.
Thank you, Arkan. So yeah, basically the snowball marketing is getting your content out there on as many channels as possible. It's an extensive exposure technique, so to say.
Oh yes, definitely. And it's not stopping. It's not like I put it right now and it's done. It goes on for a month, for 2 months, 3 months, 6 months. It can go on till a year. It never stops. So that's like a snowball. It's not stopping. It's just not going to stop. So yeah, because obviously the content is that rich, and people, if people are missing out this show today, how can they catch up this show later? So that needs to be out there. If I'm putting these snippets every day, so people might know that okay, there was something which happened. So this is like a content snowball going on again and again, and that's what we are putting for folks to learn about the book more, to know about something which has come up and which is very important and makes a lot of sense. So yeah.
So, if so many people are going to be reaching out to you on so many channels based on this snowball technique, do you think it would make sense to outsource your social media handle and hire somebody to respond to those inquiries so that the author doesn't get distracted from writing?
No, Pack wouldn't do that because obviously, what happens is we have a huge team at Pack looking at marketing. So it's just that I am looking after these books. I might have 20 books in my kitty, but then there are many more books which are coming up. So there are many people attached to the book, and yeah, so that's there. We don't need to outsource anything. If I'm handling something, if there's someone else, if I can't take up so many things, there'll be someone else who will be assisting me through, and we can go about working on the same project. So it shouldn't matter much. So outsourcing of our projects, we never did that. So I don't think in the future as well we would be ever doing that.
Yeah,
because
but that's
because
really good to hear.
yeah, and because what happens is it's about author's work, and it shouldn't go out in any way. It has to be very much between packed, because we when we get into when we sign a book with an author, it's that confidential that it will just be around packed, nothing else, not more than that. It's not going out because it is so rich and it has so much value that people might pay for it. So why go out and outsource anything?
That's right, because you can't really show this content to anybody until the world is ready to see it, which means not until the book is published and ready for the world.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So let's talk about the LinkedIn a little bit. So, what do you
Yep.
think? What do you think people want to see in terms of content that's shared? Is it different from, let's say, what's in the books? Because I know AI and ML are hot topics right now. But does the same apply to a LinkedIn, or is there maybe some subtle difference when it comes to social media?
So for LinkedIn, it's like a professional, obviously platform. For Twitter also, if you follow, so Twitter is actually much wider, open to other topics as well. You might have politics, you might have sports also discussed there. But when we talk about Twitter, LinkedIn, it's very much focused in ML AI. Obviously, because I am working in that field, so my target audience is only ML AI, data science, cybersecurity, and tech field. So for me, all the content that I share will only be actually I would actually get any reaction when it's somewhere related to their field. If it's about data, if people are joining me, there'll be only data people, or people working in machine learning, or say cybersecurity, because I have worked on those books, or maybe people who would be interested in knowing more about it, about how content marketing works, because that's your topic. So people would want to know more about content marketing here, and that's how people would be attracted. So it completely depends upon what you're sharing. You should have your target audience in that area. If I have followers in ML, machine learning, data, cybersecurity, if I'm posting only those stuff on my say LinkedIn forum, so it will be very much reacted well. People will like it because they can relate it very easily, and the content which is relatable to you, you'll obviously like it and you'll want to talk more about it. So that's how it works. It's a clear thing where if it's your passion, you'll like it. If it's not your passion, you won't like it. If I go about talking about suddenly about say football, people might say, okay, you're doing it maybe just for today, that's all right, but we can't take it every day. If we have connected, there's a reason behind it, because I might have connected you because you shared a book with me, or shared some content that was very important to me. But I don't want to know more about football all the time, so they might not like that. Rather, so that depends completely.
Absolutely. No, especially in a world when we are drowning in this information and sensory overload. There's so many books out there, so many resources, so many classes. And what would make your material, your content stand out is just the passion. It's important to be excited about what you do and write about. So I want to say passion and quality of content would be the key. Would you agree, Ravit?
Oh, definitely. I agree completely. It's just your passion that should, go out there, do what you like, and, have those people around you who have similar passion. So, you'll grow with them. And that's what my always been my motto: I guess, grow together, and you learn a lot. So, yeah.
Absolutely. That's what I've always loved about that culture, the community that we have on LinkedIn and in technology, what I noticed in general. Everybody is so supportive and everybody is promoting each other's growth. So that's very uplifting.
Definitely. I agree.
Motion Wears. Oh, looks like Ibrahim from Motion Wears joined us today. Thank you. That's
Wow. Thank
very.
you, Ibrahim.
So, since we talked about the content and what people do want to see on LinkedIn or basically any social media out there, do you think it's important at what time the post comes through? So it's maybe not just the content, but also the time of delivery.
I guess in terms of book, it matters a lot. What's coming up. If you talk about a certain topic in AI, if that's coming up, if it has just released in, or it's in the making, and if your book is the first out there, it will have that value. People will go blindly behind it because they wanted to know more about it, and there's a book which has come out, so people would value it to that level. And about the timing, or if you talk about the timing of content going out on LinkedIn, then I would say it's the best time, because if your book is published, go for it and announce it. And people, if it's like a book which is very new, people would love it. A book which is, say, 6 months old, people might say, oh, there might be things which must have been already discussed in the next 6 months of publication. There might be something more which has come up, so we would prefer something, a little new book. So people might be a little dicey, but I'm not saying that, because what happens is, there are books which were published, say, 5 years back, but still has so much value, because those books are like the bestseller books, and which are super cool, which, if you read it today, you'll gain a lot out of it. If it's about learn Python, it never gets old, right? It's just the version that changes every time. So every time the new version comes in, you will want to read it. But yeah, there's always a base to everything. If it's a base level book, people would want to know more about it, and it never gets old then. So those are the evergreen books, I guess.
Evergreen books. That's a term. I love it. I love it. It's such an accurate depiction of certain fundamentals that would never go out of usage, never out of fashion. It's almost like the pillars that all the coding rests upon. I noticed it with some of the programming languages, like difference between Python 2 and Python 3. Some of the difference, they're so subtle. It's mostly just the syntax, which you can look up easily.
Oh yeah, definitely. So that's there. That those differences might not be to that level that you're thinking of. Can be just very minor differences, and that's how it is. Yeah.
Mhm. So, when it comes to promoting your books on LinkedIn, so you said the sooner the better, but how do you feel about promoting content before it comes out, before the book is published? Is it a good technique, or is there such a thing as too early?
No, it's not early because what can happen is you can always create that curiosity for folks out there. If there's a book that is coming, which is C Sharp 9 .NET 5 by Mark Price, it's like the bestseller book. And we are supposed to release the book on 10th of November. It will be live on Amazon. It's like the bestseller book. And we've been already promoting it since last 2 weeks. So why would we even stop promoting, which is something, there's a conference which is coming on the 10th of November, 10 to 12 by Microsoft.net. So those books have that value. People would want to even go out there, buy it in the pre-order stage itself, that we want that book as soon as possible because we want to upgrade ourselves to that level. So it's always a good idea to, promote your book early as possible. It's just that in the making itself, sometimes what authors also do is go and actually announce about the book when they sign the book. And as soon as they start writing each chapter, they take their audience on the journey as well, that these are the chapters I've already started drafting and I've started working on. And in the next 6 months, this is where I will be, and my book would be released after 8 months and all of those stuff. So audience is also running around with you on the same stage, and is actually enjoying the journey, and they would want to obviously know more about it. And authors have that value in themselves. When they start writing, you have to obviously have that much knowledge. You have to have that peace of mind that you will want to write a book, or which is like 400 pages, 600 pages, 800 pages. So yeah, that's how it works. So always a good idea to promote book whenever. There's no time for a book to be promoted, but obviously the best time is when the book is announced and it's live on Amazon. So yeah.
Mhm. So, but sometimes the earlier the better, so that the author can rest assured that the content is interesting to the public, and if they do generate the hype. I was
Yeah.
wondering, just out of curiosity, has it ever happened that when the author would announce first couple chapters, and the public would be so excited that they start suggesting more topics of the research, and that would take the book into, maybe, no, I don't want to say a different direction, but it would add maybe chapters to that research? Has it ever happened?
Yes, so definitely. I'm sure that must have happened in the past as well. Not, I don't know if it's happened recently. I have not known, maybe, but there are many books that Pack Publishing actually publishes every, if you're talking about publishing, it will happen every week. So that's how it works. Recently, I might not be attached to any of those books, but in the past, I know one or two authors. I don't want to name them anymore, but obviously those have been the part where the books have been so successful. It has been so fruitful when we have actually bought in those. We have actually heard the audience well, and the author felt that okay, this is something what we'll need to add. It might add a little spice to the book, and people might even enjoy it that way, because the best critics are the audience who would read the book. And if you are getting it just before the publication itself, it's like a bonus, nothing like it.
It's definitely crowdsourcing and at its finest.
Yes, true.
So yeah, speaking of crowdsourcing and content, for those, I'm sure all of you know, but just in case if you don't know, Ravit is a host of the Ravit Show on YouTube, where he shares people's success stories, and he features industry professionals from all over the world, and they share their knowledge and expertise. So how long have you been doing that, by the way?
I started off back in 16th September, on 16th September. So it's going to be like 2 months now on 16th. Yeah.
So what inspired you to start the show?
I don't know. Being like it's just I went out there. I applied for LinkedIn Live, and then I was like, I need to do something because what happens is you're out there, you're talking to people, but then that human touch is missing all the time. Like we are talking right now, it is, I guess, the best thing rather than we being behind the machines and just typing. So this is like we get together, all the community together. If they have certain questions for us, we'll talk about it. If I can share something, I'll talk about it. If it can help these people who are watching us, superb. So in similar manner, what I thought was getting the best people out there who have created some space for themselves in any field. Maybe most of them is data field, but field like say data, data science, AI, machine learning, cybersecurity, any field, I will get them on board and would ask them some questions about their journey. And it's always helpful for the folks who are attending to know more about it, because they are industry experts. They have created that space for themselves. And one person who's always been that guiding force behind me is Kate Strachny. She's one of the finest. We know her. We know in recent she even hosted a complete LinkedIn live dedicated conference, so which is amazing. So that's how I started my journey with. I spoke to Kate. Then there was John Malash, my manager. Obviously, he's been that force. He's been like, Ravit, just go for it, do something what you like, and this should be apart from what you're already doing. If you have that, if you love community building, do that. Go out, make people, give that to people, give that to community, because community gives it back to us always. So yeah, that's how it works. There was no particular idea behind the show, but somehow when you go on a journey, when I started sharing people's journey, it just became my own journey. So which is like a bliss, I guess. So yeah.
Yeah, community building component is so important. I don't think I can even overstate the importance of it. And yeah, and Kate Strachny, whom you just mentioned,
Yeah.
I really enjoy her content. She has that course on Udemy about on Tableau and data visualization. I believe she made an appearance at your show as well.
Yeah,
Yeah, her database content is very high quality, and I believe she also as well.
true. She was my first guest, if you're asking me that.
Yeah, well, oh yeah, I remember that. I believe I might have joined that live.
Yes.
So when it comes to making a decision on the content for the channel, I also heard you often advise other content creators on adding content to their channels. So what would you say the select criteria for this content would be?
So there's no criteria as such. Content is very demanding. When you have the right content, you post it, you will get the reactions. If that content is not that rich, if I'm talking something about the past, and it might interest a few, but it might not interest everyone out there. If I'm talking about the early ages, the early talks about Python, or early programming languages, it might interest a few people who are just joining in, who's just getting into that industry. But for the people who are already in there, and if I have an audience who's already built themselves in that level, so they wouldn't like that content. They'll be like, okay, that's something they'll say, okay, but that wouldn't interest them. You need to create that curiosity. You need to evolve with your content. You need to be smart enough to share something which is new, and people might get learn and grow from it. So everyone wants to learn and grow from a content. If you're reading a 20-minute article on Medium, you would want to gain, because you're investing those 20 minutes, you would want to gain so much out of it, because you've invested 20 minutes in just one article. So it has to be that rich. It has to be, if I give you an example, if it's just about a show, these 40 minutes we have spoken about, people want to know more about content. And if they get it from this, that how content marketing works, or how you can write a book, how does Pact works, and all of those stuff, so people might find this very insightful, and that's how it works. Yeah.
So nowadays, with all this abundance of content out there, you would say the most successful pieces of content you would want to make them as dense as you possibly can, so that people can get the maximum value through the bite-sized pieces of information.
Perfect. I think that's how it works. If someone asks me to go about reading or watching or maybe just looking at something for 20 minutes, and if I don't get anything out of it, I'll feel that, oh, I've just wasted my 20 minutes. And people don't have time right now. Everyone's, with the all the virtual thing as well, everyone's very busy with their own stuff. So people want to focus on things which would value them, and also would want to send out things which would value the community. And that's what I do, because I don't want people reading my post and feeling that, oh, this is just not helpful, or maybe this is something won't make sense to me. But when it's about a book which is coming up, I know there'll always be like 30% people who would be like, okay, this book is of my interest. The other 30% would be curious about to know the other book that I'll be announcing. And the 30% who's left behind have already been engaged on something different, which I've posted either about a book or either about a certain new technology which is coming up. It's not like I would keep it just a sell off where I'm just talking about the book. It has to be, you need to have that going, that you have to have your own opinions out there. You have to have your own, like a show like we are doing right now. You have to have something that belongs to you, and people shouldn't feel that, oh, there's a machine who's working, that Sasha is a machine, she's just behind the computer, she is there out there talking to Ravit right now. So that human touch people have forgotten, and this actually makes a lot of sense, where you come online, talk to people, make videos, and let them enjoy it. So yeah.
Yeah, I have to agree with you on that. The individual touch is so important nowadays because there is a lot of people out there who create content. But it's important to remember to bring your individuality to it, and that's what I do love about your show, because I know you do talk to so many people in technology and computer science and all the other related fields, but you bring your individuality, you showcase their amazing content through the insightful lens of your perception. And that's why I always recommend your show to people, because I think it's great.
Thank you very much, Sasha. And I'll make sure that I'm recommending your show, because this is very insightful. That's not like because you're doing it for me, but then definitely people need to, watch it, because you're sharing something, which would make sense to a lot of audience. It's just that obviously it's live, so people can't catch up sometimes, but it's always on the YouTube, it's always on the LinkedIn, so people can go out there and look out for different interviews. Because before coming on the show, I went on to Kirill's interview. I saw it completely, and I was so happy, that Sasha has been doing this job, and I'm called on that show, so it's like an honor. So yeah, thank you.
So I think you and I today unlocked the secrets of content marketing in the
Oh,
40 something minutes we've been chatting. Just to summarize those talking points a little bit, make your content valuable, make it relevant, bring your passion
true.
and individuality, but most importantly, keep it concise, compact, keep it short and sweet, and yet informative.
Exactly. That's so true, because that's how content works. Everyone out there on LinkedIn who are sharing content, then I'm sure they are very much aligned to these points, and that's the reason they love sharing content. Okay. Hi, Manpreet. Hi, Manpreet. How are you? How you make your content so unique every time? Okay. So Manpreet, there's no formula to it. Just be yourself, get your passion in your content, do something different every time. Don't think about people, what people would think, oh, this is such a post. Be carefree and do whatever you like. Trust me, when people start connecting to you, when people start knowing you, okay, this is how Ravit is, this is how Manpreet is, this is how she'll be different all the time. She'll be posting anything which might not be, she might not think before posting. So go ahead and post. So amazing. Yeah, exactly. Go ahead, Manpreet. Don't worry about people, just post.
Mhm. Well, to create unique content, you have to remember that people are unique, and like the books or the podcast and shows that they bring to the table, they will be unique because we all have our own angle. We all perceive the world
Exactly.
differently. But what actually people say a lot about you, Ravit, I noticed that you have a very deep understanding of content marketing and tech content. So I believe the dual expertise in the field, whatever the field is probably something that would drive the content success. What do you think, Ravit?
Mm, uh, so when it's obviously when it's you need to have that passion for a tech. If you're working in some field, you need to know the crux of it at least, because what happens is if I am getting into a field, say I am getting into something, if I'm building a car, I need to know about how it works. What is the mechanism between, how things would work, how a car works. I need to know how the engine pushes. What are the reason, why are those tire made of rubber? So I need to know the background at least of it. I do not need to know that okay, this is how the production works and all of those stuff. But still I will always want to know that okay, this is how a car is built. It shouldn't be like okay, in the background I'm just knowing about things and it's okay to just get through. When it's about books, I obviously need to know what the topic area is, what is in the market, which is today booming. If it's about AI, machine learning, or quantum computing, like if we talk about, is such a huge market but still not there. People are not very sure about it, but there is something which is building, everyone knows about it, and it's out there. So everything is just that depends on your passion. If you're getting into a field, have that passion to learn, go in there and learn about it. It's not necessary for me to go in AI and have that depth in knowledge about that. I need to learn everything about AI, or be a data scientist to talk about data. Because sometimes what happens is, if you're working outside, you need to know how things work. Because I'm just working in the outlines and how it would help folks if they read a book which is say Live Longer with AI, or AI Crash Course, or say a Microsoft book. So that is how it works. You just need to have that knowledge that this book is meant for these types of techies, or maybe this is the target audience and this will what they'll benefit it from. So that, when people would only connect with you when you have that knowledge and you can actually speak about it and how it will help them in any way. So yeah, have that tech expertise. If you're working in tech, if you're working in say a manufacturing of car, have that going in the designing of car or whatever, but you should have that knowledge in that area. So it's just very simple.
Hmm. So you say you just need like some starting domain expertise, but as long as you have interest, again, passion and discipline, your domain knowledge will deepen if there is a need for it.
Oh yes, definitely, and it's evolving. I can never say I know everything. I can never say. No one can say, because technology is changing every day, in every means. A car is designed in a different manner every day. They have something which will be new. There'll be new machinery which will be coming in, and it will be designed in a new manner completely. So that's how it works. You can never say that you know everything, even if you are in this field. Tomorrow, today you are having a show like this, maybe tomorrow a new feature comes in and then you start using a new feature that might have, say, you know today we can have, like, on StreamYard we can have 6 people. Okay, tomorrow if there are 20 people you can come in, so you'll be like, okay, I can have 20 people. So that is how you'll evolve, right? You can call in 20 guests together. So that's how it is evolving in the same field as well.
Yeah, it's almost like snowball again when it comes to growth. You have to start somewhere. For instance, if you're thinking that I want to stream some content live, but then you're thinking I don't have enough followers, but I don't have enough followers because I don't stream enough. I think it brings us to the chicken and egg debate. What comes first?
First, true. I agree. That's what my point is exactly. You can never say that where should I start from. Start from anywhere. Just start and you will grow. That's the only thing. If you have that passion, you will grow. People like Manpreet, who, like, Manpreet just asked a question. I know she has developed so much. She's putting such amazing content out there for people. I've known her, and people need to actually follow Manpreet. That is for sure, because she's been doing some amazing job, and she's being fearless about sharing her own thoughts with people, and she's having her own show and all of those things. So that has to keep going, and yeah, have your own passion and enjoy it. Don't worry about the world.
This is really wonderful. It makes me think I should follow Manpreet. I'll make a note of the show afterwards, and I have to make sure I follow her content. Is it mostly machine learning and tech?
Oh yes, definitely.
This is so exciting. I love discovering new nuggets of wisdom and new people to follow. I feel like that's how
Same.
our domain knowledge and expertise grows, by just meeting new people.
True.
Yeah, even
That's all. That's all.
yeah, you and I, we met through the Data Science Go conference organized by Kirill Yeremenko. It's one of my
Exactly.
yeah, it's actually one of my favorite data science conferences to attend because I always end up meeting so many interesting people.
True. Exactly. So that's how it works, right? We just network through a conference, and we're here talking to each other on your show. So I think that's what how important this tech field is for me, where I meet so many people in conferences. I meet so many people on LinkedIn. I have a decent number of followers who would be going out there and checking my content and liking it. And maybe there are people who are sharing so much content out there which is so valuable but is missed, but I am happy to catch up on those and go out there and speak to them about it. So building a community and being around a community who is very much of your expertise, of your area, it will take a little time, but you'll get there with time. So be that patient and keep that patience and go there and do it.
It definitely takes time, but I also think it takes a lot of vulnerability. People don't talk enough about vulnerability and soft skills as being a strength. For we've just been conditioned to think that vulnerability is a weakness, but in my opinion, it's actually a very strong personal quality. It takes courage to put yourself out there and just express your thoughts. And I guarantee you, on some days when, like for those of us who are trying to create content every day, as long as you create value for the community, uh, just nobody's gonna be mad at you for putting yourself out there. That's my experience.
It's simple. When you go out there on social media, it's like haters are gonna hate. Don't worry, just do whatever you're gonna do. That's how it is. You can't stop the haters, you can't stop the trollers. They'll do whatever they feel like. But there's a very bright and huge positivity out there on LinkedIn, on Twitter. Follow that positivity, be around positive people. You will excel in anything that you're doing, trust me.
Yeah, but the thing with trolls and haters, yes, haters gonna hate, but they're not out there, I think, to hate on your content specifically. They're just out there to hate on stuff. And if it's not your article or show, whatever it is that you're trying to produce, it will be something else. You won't eliminate trolls by not producing content. There has to be some sort of the rules for like moderators activity on the platform, and there has to be policies against trolls, but I don't think producing less content is the solution to fight trolls.
Exactly, just go out there, do it. Don't worry about anyone. Just do your make your content that special, that if you're posting it, you should feel happy that you have posted something and someone somewhere is reading it and finding it insightful. That's it.
Wow, this is so incredible. We're almost out of time. I can't believe we chatted for almost an hour.
Oh yeah,
I
definitely.
definitely
And
learned a lot from you, Ravit.
thank you.
So
And me.
yeah, absolutely. So, just to recap, we did have cover a lot of ground today, and the gist of it will be summarized in a LinkedIn post, and it will be included in the show notes on YouTube. So, just in case if you missed out on a couple minutes here and there, no worries. Everything will be summarized for you and delivered in a very concise manner. And if you haven't yet, follow Ravit Jain's show on YouTube. You will be very glad you did. And if you're writing a book or thinking about writing a book, reach out to Ravit. He is your guy.
Thank you very much, Sasha, for the plug, and same goes for you. I'm gonna make sure that people follow your show and people know about what you're creating is amazing. Don't stop this, Sasha. I've known that your the content that you are putting, it is so interesting that I'll follow every show what's coming up next, and I would surely want to know more about it. I'm waiting to be on your show back someday, somewhere when you have time, and we'll chat more about more things. I guess when things progress, we'll have so much to talk about.
Absolutely, I agree with you because the topic of technology is so broad and so vast. It would actually take us multiple episodes to cover it all, and I doubt we would even cover all of it. I don't think it's quite possible.
Oh, never. It's never possible when it's about tech or maybe when it's about book. I can actually, flash so many books I have, and then I'll be like, okay, so these are the books people need to go and buy. And yeah, so it's fun. It was great to just be here on your show. And yeah,
Well, thank you very much, everyone, for joining. And please subscribe to the YouTube channel if you do want to hear more episodes. And that's it on my end. And thank you for listening.
thank you, Sasha.